All right, we are live on the air. Anchorman stepped away for a bit. He'll return shortly. I want to try to make sure that the stream is running good tonight. You guys can hear me loud and clear. Try to do a super pod shot last night. Unfortunately, that did not go the way I wanted it to or as expected. So that was a bit disappointing. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, that didn't go according to plan. Like E3 is right around the corner, so I'm just getting all this information, all these scoops, all these invites. It's a bit overwhelming. It's a bit overwhelming when your success is really starting to pay off. Even if you may not be a very large YouTube channel, our website success and our dev success and publisher success has been huge. Literally, we're getting tons of games, review copies, and invites, and technical hardware to review now. It's just an amazing experience. I didn't think that we would be here 3 years ago. I was looking at the start date of this YouTube channel, and it said June 2nd, 2014. Come June 2nd, 2017, it'd be 3 years. And in that 3-year span, we've accomplished a lot. So I'm very proud of that. And of course, proud of everybody and grateful to everybody that's here tonight and that's always supporting us, whether it's, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, even in gaming, and just my personal gamers and friends that I know on Xbox and stuff like that. Shout out to Bella Rye, shout out to Gaming Addict, Analog Podcast. Thank you for always supporting, as well as Gunstar. You guys, I always see you guys in here supporting us. So very grateful for the support as always. And everybody that's always giving us thumbs up, and even the haters. Without you guys showing us negative attention, I won't have the good people say, hey, who's dumbing down Tick Podcast? Let me give them a thumbs up, because this is a great channel. So I'm going to wait for Anchor to get back. B Money won't be able to make it tonight. If you don't know, B recently had a new baby boy, so he's probably preoccupied taking care of his new child, which is awesome for him. I got some news, man. We got a lot to discuss. I want to talk about Microsoft's new publishing studio and kind of delve into that a little bit, see where their mindset is and what this could potentially mean for future games for Xbox, as well as talk about Sega. And it's kind of like an offshoot thing. It really wasn't something that Sega was announcing, but when they announced it in the breath of another announcement, it kind of caught my attention. So we'll discuss that. We'll talk about Destiny 2 a little bit. We'll talk about Far Cry 5 a little bit. And we'll talk about Crytek as well. There's some things happening with Crytek that I was interested in and talking about, discussing Lawbreakers, going to PS4, third-party deals, support, lots on the table. So let's get this party started. Make sure you guys give us a thumbs up. Greatly appreciate any shares, any likes, anything like that to help us grow and expand and get our name out there to the public and let people know this is a great multi-platform channel right here, and you can always get a great Xbox podcast right on the channel as well. So here we go. Anchor, you back in the booth?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right. Welcome to the Inner Circle Podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox One. I'm your host, KORX Kal-El, the last on the planet Xbox, with Anchorman V.
Hey, everybody. How you doing tonight?
And, of course, B Money 101, who unfortunately is unable to make it with us tonight. So we'll be a two-man show unless we have a surprise guest pop up sometime during the show. We reached out to someone. We'll see if that person is able to make it. So before I get into the juicy stuff, man, I want to talk about Destiny 2 real quick. Some things that impressed me with Destiny 1 and some things that didn't impress me with Destiny 1 I want to discuss. And there's something that I recently read that kind of turned me off just a bit about Destiny 2. And I kind of get it, but at the same time, it kind of sucks. So they put out this new presentation for Destiny. And, it looks exactly like Destiny. I'm not expecting something to be like massively different, but it's really just the same old Destiny. Even gameplay wise, it's the same old Destiny. Though some of the powers look different, and some of the powers for different characters are like a mix and match of different things and stuff like that. What I really loved about the first Destiny, I thought that the story aspect was poorly done. I never liked the idea of them putting a lot of their lore in those cards and then having you go to Bungie.net to read the cards and the information to get kind of the lore of the story. I just felt that was such a double-edged sword. It was almost like you went through all this work and did these kind of cool things to get these Bungie cards, and they would pop up on screen like, oh, you got this new card. Then it's like, go to Bungie.net to find out what it is. And you would have to literally, either stop playing or one day just happen to surf the web, go to Bungie.net to see all these cards you got. And I'm sure if you're a diehard guy, that's what you do. But if you're not a diehard guy, bro, you're not doing that. So really, a lot of the backstory, a lot of the lore of the game was written almost Elder Scrollish, but no books to read like in Elder Scrolls. You literally had to go to Bungie.net, which to me was absolutely disappointing in itself. So to me, it painted any type of lore, any type of story for that game was terrible. But I loved the gameplay. It just was so smooth, felt like Halo, moved almost like Halo, except obviously you had the abilities to jump and teleport or whatever it was, depending on what character you had. And then the weapons were really, really cool as well. And as they got further and further and making new weapons and exotics and stuff, it really kind of made the game pretty cool. Some of the downsides that I hope that they fixed, and I'm hearing that they did, was that too many people had exotics. Everyone had an exotic. It made the ability to get a rare gun kind of like not really rare. And then allowing you to buy them negated the whole purpose of getting a rare gun. Excuse me, an exotic gun. So, I remember when I got the last word for the first time, and I used hand cannons in the game playing as a hunter. And using the last word for the first time was amazing because it had such a high fire rate that you can just hold the trigger and it would literally fire automatically. It was like an automatic magnum. And at about 5 to 6 feet away, 2 headshots, you were done. 4 headshots from distance, you were done. And that thing had range. And it was crazy. Then you had the Suros, which everybody used, and eventually went to Red Death and so on and so forth. And people just started playing with all these different guns, and then the exotics got kicked in, and you had to make decisions between the rocket launcher if you wanted, certain rocket launchers or snipers and everything. And then everyone had like these exotic armor pieces. It just became a point to where getting an exotic item was an exotic, So hopefully they're able to fix that. And I heard they were going to make getting rare items a lot harder to get. And one of the things that I don't like, just to finish up, is putting matchmaking in the game. You need to. Now, I don't know if that's for raids, because I don't think they had matchmaking for raids in the first game. They did have matchmaking for strikes, which made sense. I think they said that their fare is putting a raid team together with randoms and eventually the team voting you out or voting for a person to come in and join the game that has a specific skill set. And it kind of alienates people who can't play in the game with, or that person kind of sucks during the raid. You can easily vote them out and boot them midway through the raid, and they might not even get anything. Like they might not get any rewards or anything like that. So that would be kind of disappointing, especially if you're a person who do a whole raid and then all of a sudden everybody votes you out and kicks you out at the end, and you don't even get a chance to get to the chest, which would absolutely be devastating to a lot of people. So they didn't put that in there. At the same time, it sucks for those who really want to play a raid but don't have friends. And don't get me wrong, Xbox is like the social box. It's like everybody knows somebody on Xbox. You always have somebody to play with. This isn't PS4. No disrespect to PS4, but this the single player experience. Xbox is the multiplayer experience. So everybody has friends on Xbox. But it's just funny that with Xbox, that they don't have matchmaking. So if you don't have a friend or you don't have somebody to team up with, you might not be able to get that. Now they're saying there's something they implemented where it allows you to kind of find the right people them and see if you can play with them, but there's nothing set up where it's like you just join and they just start matching you together. And that's kind of a double-edged sword as well. I don't know how that will work out long term, but I really hope that this time around is a big improvement over the first one and they don't try to rob everybody every time with these expansions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Destiny 2, it's kind of iffy. I'm kind of mixed on it because it's just, I wanted, the point of a sequel is to build upon the base mechanics of the first game and make it better. Not just like, quality of life stuff, which is basically what we're seeing here. It's namely just, hey, we got a couple things here and there, moving on. And from there, there's not much else. I'm not seeing anything that says, hey, it's been 3 years, we've been really working on it, here's something brand new, other than, yeah, we got some new content. That's kind of it. I mean, what I mean by that is, look at another game that came out in the same year, Titanfall 1. Titanfall 1 came out, and Titanfall 2 is a vast improvement on Titanfall 1. They got the base mechanics, they put in what people, they listened to what people wanted, they wanted a campaign, they did all this kind of stuff, and they made some tweaks and adjustments to the gameplay and make it better. And so when you saw it, you saw, okay, that looks better. That looks something different. It looks like I could see the improvements there. As opposed to Destiny 2, which is like, yeah, it's Destiny. Okay, that's it.
I mean, I kind of got that feeling too, just a bit. I want more variety in enemies. Not saying that it's not. Listen, we got a snippet of the game. I don't want to get on the game before the game's released. Destiny already has a cult following at this point. They have a large install base. As much as people bash Destiny, people are going to buy this game. It's almost Call of Duty-ish in a way, where it doesn't matter what people say about COD's going to sell. It doesn't matter what people say about Destiny's going to sell. I myself know for a fact I'm going to buy this game and probably pick up the $99 version. And I never buy anything over $59.99. I don't care what type of DLC comes with the game. I don't buy it. I just wait. You know what I'm saying? But for this, just because of my past experience with Destiny, I may pick up the $99 version because I want to be able to continue to play with my friends, my clan, or whoever I'm playing with, and make sure I have all the DLC and all the updates and stuff, at least for the first 2 expansions. So that's just funny in itself. You look at the game overall, it does look the same. Now, the big thing happening is this whole 60 frames per second thing with Scorpio and Xbox One or OG Xbox being 30. This is a big problem, I think, for a lot of the fans who want to upgrade. Now, they're saying that the PS4 Pro can't run this game at 60 frames per second. Not that the GPU isn't powerful enough, but the CPU isn't powerful enough. Ergo, every PlayStation fan believes that Scorpio can't do it because it's only about a 10% or 15% upgrade over the PS4 Pro CPU-wise. The problem is that CPU is also highly customized. The bandwidth on the CPU is also a lot higher than PlayStation, and you also have an additional 3 gigs of RAM on it. So this is going towards the game. So there is a major and significant difference between the 2 consoles. And Phil Spencer came out, and he didn't say Scorpio in particular. My screen just went black for some reason. Okay. Can you hear me, Anchor? Okay. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Somebody joined in. I was like, my screen just went completely black.
What's up?
But what's going on? But very quickly, so what winds up happening is my screen went black and I lost my thought. I lost my location of what I was saying.
Opportunity here to introduce our guest for the evening. Everybody, this is MWJW. He's actually been a supporter of ours since like the beginning, really. I've known you more longer than I've known Kat.
There you go. Since the launch of the Xbox OG.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's That's what's up. That's what's up.
Kind of
So,
plug yourself a little bit, MW, real quick. Just kind of tell everybody who you are for a little bit.
So I'm a big Xbox fan. Before that, PC fan. Before that, Nintendo fan. Before that, Apple fan. I've been gaming probably longer than most of you have been alive. I'm not that old, but I feel it in my bones and my soul. And I'm a big industry guy. I like the industry, even with my gripes about it. But it keeps me entertained. So that's me. Used to run or help run DirectX website. Shut that down mostly because we were playing games too much. I mean, realistically, let's put it out that way. Played too many games, ran out of things to talk about.
Man, you playing games, you got games to talk about. Yeah, I feel you.
All games to talk about. There you go. Plus, I mean, realistically, you want that bigger audience. So
right,
we didn't have that bigger audience, and getting the real important people that I would personally enjoy talking to was a little difficult. The biggest guy we ever got was Kevin Dent. Not to say he's little, man. He's an awesome human being, but that's the big man we ever got.
Gotcha.
Wonderful guy too.
Yeah, I remember when you got it too. It was great.
Oh yeah,
that's what's up. So I'm right now I'm discussing Scorpio at 60 frames per second, and then the possibility that Bungie may show up at E3, and when they start discussing Scorpio, they may announce that the game is 60 frames per second. Now, my thing is this: obviously, you've had Phil Spencer come out and said not in particular about Bungie or about Destiny or about Call of Duty, but just stating that Scorpio will have the best versions of those third-party games this year. Now, right. That could mean 60 frames per second. That could mean 4K, native 4K, whatever that means, we won't know until E3. The cool thing about that is that this year at E3, Microsoft's booth is no longer located in the location it normally is. And if you haven't been to E3, I'll try to describe it for you. Or what you can do is you can check out in our playlist, our E3 2015 Tick Podcast Experience, and that will show you what E3 looks like when we visited E3 in 2015. And I'm working on the 2016 video, but I'm missing actually some video, which is why I haven't uploaded it yet. So when you walk into the pub area, which is where the three major publishers are, you have Microsoft to the left. Microsoft had this big, giant area, and when you walk in there, there's like an there's a TV broadcast area, probably where they're showing the Xbox experience over Xbox or whatever above everything else. Kind of like in this booth area above ground, you have all the boxes on the floor. You have the Lambo from Forza Horizon 3 sitting in almost center mass of the area, literally just spinning in a circle. People just standing there taking pictures of it. They had a giant rig there for Forza Horizon. It's just games everywhere. Publishers, devs, they got like a movie theater area where they were showing off Gears of War 4 for the first time, which was pretty cool. To the back, you had PlayStation. Now, PlayStation, because they got these marketing deals, had big like walls. You had Call of Duty, then you had Horizon, and then you had God of War, and they were showing those things off. And then in the back, they had small titles, they had VR, they had all their little indie games kind of like scattered all over the place. But they definitely had a big quadrant of the room. And Nintendo was so bougie. This is how I felt when I was with Nintendo. Because Nintendo, this is how Nintendo literally had a whole floor roped off with red rope. Like, you know how you go to a red carpet event and it has red rope? There's like a red rope with little poles going around. And inside of that is where all the executives are. Literally on the floor, you can see them. And they're just in there talking, drinking champagne, eating caviar or whatever. And then on the outside is the Nintendo area, which is nothing but Wii U kiosk. It's almost like going to a GameStop and you just stand online and they just have the, Mario Tennis and Mario Sports or whatever the hell they had available at the time playing. And then around that, it's just nothing but not publishers, media. So you got IGN's booth, GameSpot's booth, you got Twitch, you got, a little bit of Capcom in the background and stuff. But on the other side, hallway walk down, which is where we bumped into Kamaya, by the way. And seeing him, I lost my mind. I'm sitting there, I'm walking with Anchor, and I'm like, is that Kamaya? Holy shit, that's Kamaya's son, Kamaya. And I'm like, I walk over to him, and he's looking at me like, who the f are you, man? Like, I don't know who you are. I'm trying to shake his hand. He's looking at like, he don't understand anything I'm saying. I'm just excited to meet him and everything. So I'm shaking his hand and stuff. Really funny stuff. But we get to the other side. When you get to the other side, all the big third parties are there. And as soon as you walk in, it's EA. So EA's got this big thing going. They got like, I swear to you, I say this all the time. When I walked into I just felt like I was in Mass Effect series when you go to Omega and you're in that club where Shepard goes and he's talking to the chick, the gangster chick or whatever, the alien. I can't remember her name. But yeah, that's how I felt. It was like all these lights were going on and they had hip hop playing and you could see Live going across the screen one area, Madden going across the screen another area, Need for Speed and all this stuff. Then you got Bethesda on the left and 2K on the right and, Ubisoft in the back and stuff like that. But where EA is going to be there this year. And the whole reason why I'm saying that is because they've moved their booth, that pub area where they normally are, to the third party area and have surrounded themselves with every third party publisher. All the big major third party publishers are in this area. And now only Microsoft is the only major console manufacturer in this area. Because I don't think they can't market those third party games on Scorpio to the public. But you can have demos of those games on the floor for the public. That's the biggest significant difference between what they're trying to do this year and how they're trying to approach Scorpio and let the fans see it compared to last year. So it's a big deal. And we will see more, obviously, on Scorpio at E3 and what they're trying to present. But I don't know how to do 60 on Scorpio and then 30 on Xbox One and then have those two play together multiplayer wise, because that frames per second, that split second could be one bullet that kills you. It's a big difference, 60 and 30, especially when you're playing multiplayer.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things that came out today, I think we were talking about this earlier, was how Destiny has had an issue in particular with what they had an article come out with. What was it? Let me frame my thoughts for a second. It's the thing with Destiny 2 in particular is that it's kind of like a bunch of disappointments all kind of coming out all around the same time. It's going to be 30 FPS. There's only some mild quality of life situations that they're changing. They have matchmaking for raids and stuff. But then on top of it, and this is probably the biggest one, it's still PV. It's peer-to-peer. It's still peer-to-peer for servers. They are not doing dedicated servers. They have Activision, probably the biggest sugar daddy in this industry, and still aren't doing dedicated servers. That's pathetic. And actually, it kind of came out, I think it was yesterday, really, where Digital Foundry was talking about, 60 FPS is possible if they had dedicated servers to take some of the weight off the CPU.
Right, yeah. Well, I've said this multiple times with multiple people I've talked to. I don't even know if but I don't think they're going to be able to push it through. I mean, not with that deal. That looks really bad on Sony. Sony gets upset, and then what are they in the position to do? So I just don't think they're going to push it that far. I think they'll just lock it at 30, so they don't get any backlash.
it would be, it's disappointing if that happened. And a lot of people are really questioning Sony locking up these third party deals, and making sure that there is parity with Scorpio, because I think, and I honestly believe that Sony knows that obviously Scorpio is a more powerful console. It probably can hit 60 frames per second on those titles, and to make sure that they're not outclassed, the smart thing to do is to lock up a lot of the major third party games, at least marketing wise, and it allows them to control parity. Now, I don't believe that's true, just based on just based on talking with Adam Boyce, who we had on the show recently. And if you haven't caught that show, you can check that show out in our interview section. And when we were talking with Adam about it, we talked about PlayStation and Xbox and the whole E3 thing and sharing games. But one of the things I had asked him was about how, do devs actually, this, I guess you can say this, fable, I guess you could say, about devs being lazy and not wanting to push the hardware. And in his defense, he said that's bogus. That's BS. Like what dev does not want to make the best game that they can possibly make with the best technology and the best hardware that they have available to them? For Microsoft and having Scorpio, if Sony is actually getting these developers to sign deals where they're not pushing the hardware because they need to be parodied with PS4 Pro and the PS4, that's absolutely disappointing. And I would hope something like that would come to light, because a lot of people are spending $60 on a game that may be gimped, and that's not cool.
Well, here's the thing. Are devs lazier right now? I don't think they are lazier. I think that's the wrong word for it. Because if you talk to almost any dev who's put significant time into any major publisher, these people are overworked. I mean, you're talking 60-hour days every day to meet deadlines. You're talking about, I wasn't there for the birth of my child, or something insane. And to say that they're lazy is never the correct answer. Here's where the issue lies in my eyes. The games that we have now are more and more complex, right? The art, the style, the size is trying to be larger and larger, and they're trying to push it. And we all understand that. Well, back in the day, when you had that limited hardware, you only had to work with 2D sprites. You could push more optimization. I mean, this is why you got games that were highly optimized, even for the original PlayStation 1 and 2. Like, games that shouldn't have even came out. Same thing with the 360, I'm not going to lie. I mean, half a gig of RAM, and we got some beautiful game. We got Skyrim on half a gig. How? That's insane. But a lot of these devs just don't have the time they have to get these games out. They don't have time for optimization. Therein lies the issue. So if there is going to be an issue, it's because Bungie didn't work on the Xbox version enough. They weren't given enough time or incentive to work on that to get it to 60. Because they're not really gaining anything by making Xbox One users feel a little more insignificant, or their PlayStation and Sony. They're not gaining anything on those three fields, which are their three biggest audiences, just to make one better. So I don't know if it would be worth for them to try to hit it to 60 and then get the potential backlash either one way or the other. Just say, we couldn't do it, we tried. Just walk away. That's it.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty much probably what it's going to come down to, is we weren't given enough time, or we didn't have enough resources. They're not going to say that, but that's probably what it's going to come down to.
It's weird because Microsoft so hard to make Scorpio this machine that is for the devs. Everything from getting your hardware, not your hardware, but getting your what is it? Getting your oh my god, right now. Um APIs, getting the dev APIs up on the hardware in less time. Something that normally would take
Right.
weeks or months would take days for some developers. You know, they're giving them a hundred, I think 100 gigabyte bandwidth core just to transfer data at super high speeds to get these things running. So devs are up and running and they can get their games going immediately and then just optimize the rest of the way. Now, of course, with the new dev kits recently going out, I don't know what dev has what dev kits right now. We don't know. We don't know when the Bungie guys got their dev kits. We don't know what version they got. But that at E3, we see something special come out of that camp. And if they do show up with 60 frames per second, a lot of people are going to be feeling a bit salty on that day. I can tell you that much. It's going to be one
I will
day.
be very, very surprised if it comes out.
Absolutely, I would
salty.
be shocked. All right, so we're going to jump on ahead from Destiny. Listen, Far Cry 5 recently
Sold.
of some images of some things, and me and Anchor got to talking about this a bit. Now, we initially thought it was going to be some type of Western cowboy type game, but it's not that at all. It's actually something a bit different. It still stays within I guess you could say normal times of today, but they're taking an approach of I guess you could say a cultivized Christian type conservative. I don't want to say conservative. I don't want to box people in like that. That's
Radicalized.
but a radicalized cult is the villains of this game, and obviously this is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. And I'm all for controversy and things like that, but do you think that the controversy is kind of artificial? Like people, like the developers are actually pushing this agenda instead of just making a game. They're looking for issues so they can get a bigger audience.
I want to clarify something real quick. I never thought it was going to be a Western. I thought it was. I knew they were going to go to the United States, and I knew they were going to do someone in the Midwest or West, but I didn't think it was going to be like cowboys and stuff. It's too much of a risk to come out at the same time as Red Dead Redemption. Like you can think about this.
No, they don't have to worry about that, do they?
Other people generally know that something's going to happen. Like they knew Rockstar was stirring before they announced anything. And you just think about Ubisoft. Would they ever want to really do that? Possibly having it come out the same year. Now we know it's not, but the possibility that it might be coming out the same year is a little scary for them. So you take the same area, but you make it a different time period. So I thought what they were going to do was maybe not necessarily a modern day Far Cry. I thought they were still going to have some space from that first. I thought they were going to do more of like a colonial Lewis and Clark kind of time frame, early 1800s, like a Revenant kind of situation. I thought they were going to do that, but going back to the cult thing, I think part of it is artificial. The outrage we're seeing, part of it is. Now, I think some people are kind of genuinely pissed. Namely because they weren't expecting it. And so, and also just timing. A lot of it's timing. Namely because of the Manchester situation, and people are real sensitive about the Islamic terror, the deal, and people are a little mixed up right now. So I think that's part of it. But I think most of it, at least here, is probably just manufactured. So.
Gotcha.
What about you, W? I cut you off. My bad.
Well, I mean, you're always going to have one side viewing history a little bit different than the others. I mean, we'll have to wait till the game comes out, right? So, I never thought, you're judging. You don't want to judge an IP because you'll end up looking foolish if you do this. Judging how a game is, how it portrays a particular people or group or story or whatever.
Right.
So prejudging it is always kind of foolish. especially with the new IP. Like, it's easy to judge Destiny. It's samey. It's like Call of Duty. It's gonna be a little different, but same. You know, every Activision IP is pretty similar in that fashion. But with something like this, Far Cry's always tried to do something a little bit different with their last couple. They're trying not to be stale. You know, they don't want to have to kind of step back for a year like Assassin's Creed didn't go. Sales are dropping. Maybe we need to move on to something else. And those guys over there, they seem really creative. They like to mix and match and do very weird DLCs. So, outrage or not, it's the internet. Find me a day when someone's not pissed off at something about something. You know.
Right.
So, I would say
never...
we should all wait and see and stop paying attention to the internet.
That's a very hard thing to do, sir. In today's day and age, yeah, I agree. It's like everything is so intertwined in it. It's crazy. I won't say I'm not a Far Cry fan because I've never really gotten to any of them. I have Far Cry 4 and I have Primal, but I've never really gotten into Far Cry, and it's probably something I should definitely try out, especially 4. I should definitely give that a run.
All you need to play is 3. That's the only Far Cry game that is required to play.
That was on 360 though, right?
Yep, I believe it's backwards compatible.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I don't want to delve too much into Far Cry because we don't know much about it. I just found it very interesting at the approach that they're taking. So, and thinking about with what we're dealing with in today's world, politically and stuff like that, it's a very touchy subject.
Yeah, I do want to say at least ending the topic on cults. It kind of is like a social flavor right now with games to do cults. It's real popular. It's really easy to create a motivation. We were kind of seeing a proto discussion with Outlast 2 when it came to cults, and it's going to kind of come to a head now that a big main franchise game is doing it. But it is something that I wish that they would do correctly. It's kind of lazy, honestly, and from a storytelling standpoint, to just do a cult. It's just like, oh, we have an excuse for crazy people to do crazy things, and here you go.
Well, and that's the thing. Why pick a particular ideology that's super controversial? Why don't we pick up Scientology and make a game about that crazy? We know they're all crazy. I mean, watch Tom Cruise out in public, and you tell me if there's something not right here. Like, we need to step back and go, like,
there's something not right about science. I don't want to get into the political stuff, but there's definitely something not right about that.
Basically, all we wanted to kind of get about it was, all we wanted to really talk about was namely just that with cults in general is that they never really delve into why would somebody join a cult in the first place. Like they clearly, in reality, people join a cult for a myriad of reasons. It could be something as simple as, hey, you got a charismatic leader. Hey, I like this guy. He looks pretty dope. I like the way he speaks. And seeing some people on the YouTube community, I totally understand how people follow them. They're just like charismatic. But I mean, that's another thing. And I also look at it from the perspective of you have other people. There are other reasons you join a cult. Sometimes it's social standing. Sometimes it's just bare institutional needs that are being fulfilled. I mean, like Boko Haram in Africa basically was responsible for the literacy rate of almost an entire city. So everybody kind of owed them naturally. And so, yeah, I'll accept some crazy stuff because I learned how to read and write from them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there you go.
That's the way crazy cults mostly start, right? They promise great things, and sometimes they deliver in the beginning, and then, oh, we're drinking blood now. Cool. Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. I love it. This is not abnormal at all. No.
Yeah, no, not at all. But there's definitely something.
Once you fall into the rabbit hole, it's hard to get out. That's
yeah, absolutely.
a lot of it.
Forward to seeing more of what they have to show coming up in the next couple of, I guess, weeks. So listen, I got this news, man. I got this presser that came across my desk. It is from Sega. Now, this honestly does not have to do off. It doesn't. The presser is actually about them talking about their CEO who has stepped down from Sega and kind of giving him a great hurrah out the door and appreciative of all his work. But the thing that caught me about the presser was how things had changed since he left. And what they're saying is, they say how his name was Jurgen Post, and Jurgen Post oversaw the seismic shift of Sega Europe's business back in 2012, making it making a very difficult decision to streamline the company because we know Sega was not doing very well. He wound up bringing in Creative Assembly. He had Sports Interactive, Alien, and the Sonic Hedgehog franchises. And the aim was, and still is, to focus on quality consumer experiences instead of quantity. So they've made a big dramatic change in what they do. So instead of pumping out 55 Sonics and, a whole bunch of other crappy games, they decided to focus on less games, more quality, more talent. And then they go, since then, the business has gone from strength to strength, with Sega Europe acquiring 2 new studios, forming all new pillars and Relic Entertainment and Amplitude Studios, in addition to acquiring Crytek Black Sea, which is now Creative Assembly Sophia. And huge partnerships have been signed with the likes of Microsoft, Wargaming, and Elix to license existing IPs, release new IP, and build new franchises.
Ooh.
Now, out of that statement, the thing that's so significant is they didn't say Sony, they didn't say Nintendo, they didn't bring up the other 2 console manufacturers. They brought up Microsoft, Wargaming, and Elix. Now, Wargaming, I believe, is a
World of Tanks, War Thunder.
Right. And then you have Elix.
Yeah.
And I've seen Elix game, and that's supposed to be coming out, which looks pretty awesome. Now you can put Creative Assembly behind that with the Halo Wars 2, but to me, that
Alien Isolation,
a huge,
you'll be playing this summer.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, but a huge partnership. But they're saying it's a huge partnership with the likes of Microsoft. Now, Halo Wars 2 was done by Creative Assembly. Creative Assembly is now under Sega, but to me, they're also bringing up existing IP, which is Halo Wars. Then you have releasing new IP and building of new franchises. I don't even know what that means, but the fact that Microsoft is in the conversation with Sega as a huge partner, to me, speaks volumes of maybe what Phil has been doing, trying to work undercover with some Japanese studios. And Sega and Microsoft has always had a great relationship. They've always had a good one since the early days of the Dreamcast, because it was Microsoft that helped build the whole Ethernet setup for Dreamcast to get them online in the first place. And that's why Xbox took over once Dreamcast died. So
Plus, they had Windows CE built into it.
Right. So, seeing Microsoft and Sega working together again can open up so many possibilities for Microsoft. And I truly hope that some of those things happen. So I want to talk about some of those, what could possibly happen. Besides Halo Wars 2, what big franchises could Sega bring or help Microsoft create and bring out for the platform?
Alien.
What do you guys think? Stop
Alien.
with this Alien. Why would it be Alien?
Not even talking about Isolation. Just seriously, like the last Alien game was just great, and I really do want to get into that. But that I really mean by this though is that imagine a Aliens game with like actual James Cameron Aliens, where it's actually good and not like crap like Colonial Marines.
Why couldn't you? I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that would be cool, but why a shooter?
That's what I would want.
Yeah. See, Sega's never really been very good at shooters. They've done Iron Man and a couple small other things, and none of them were hugely successful. I think if Sega was going to do anything, it might be something that not only American audiences would like, but also maybe foreign, Asian, things like that. And the only thing that comes directly to mind would be that Phantom Dust that got canned.
Mm.
Now,
Sega rebooting Family
Sega's
Dust.
card games, their big one was Fantasy Star 3, and it had a very similar system to Phantom Dust.
Hmm.
Maybe they found something to do. Or maybe I'm getting a new Fantasy Star and I can just die happy. Maybe.
That is a very interesting thought, actually. But I didn't even think about that, honestly. I did think about Fantasy Star Online with Xbox Live and maybe them getting an announcement that the next Fantasy Star Online may be exclusive to Xbox and Windows 10, or it's being marketed by them or whatever. Someone suggested with Microsoft trademarking Scalebound that they could maybe drop Scalebound off over at Sega and have them work on the game. With Panzer Dragoon in their back pocket and having familiarity with dragons, that could be something that would be a good role for them as well. You're talking about working with existing IP, rebooting IP. Those actually are two things that could be strong possibilities. I doubt it, obviously, but you never know.
I think they could be working with the new IP aspect of that little press release. That's the big one to me. New games. Show me the new games. And hey, you got an opportunity here. Sega's kind of, I don't know, would we call them weak per se? They're not like the way they used to be, but they could use some little Microsoft money to make things a little better.
Right.
Well, I mean, the console manufacturers or software developers are what they used to be. It's not the springtime of games anymore. Everything costs more. The risk is greater. People losing their jobs and stuff.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think if Sega was smart, they would start with an existing IP though. Start with something that people know. See what their willingness is to jump in and back a Sega partnership. Then I'd go from there. But it's all on the table. It's very possible anything could happen. So I'm excited in general. I said, bring it on.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. I mean, listen, I've been a Dreamcast fan since forever. I swear to God, I if they ever come out with another Skies of Arcadia, I will lose my mind. I love that game so much on the Dreamcast.
How about a Power Stone?
Or Power Stone. And listen, Power Stone is another game that was an arena fighter, which is not Phantom Dust, but you have history in arena fighters, which is what Phantom Dust sort of is in a way. Sega sounds like a great company to be working with for franchises that are very familiar to the Xbox and to the Xbox gamer. And I know a lot of Xbox gamers who, when they left Dreamcast, saw Xbox as the evolution of Dreamcast, and that's why they've moved on from Sega to Xbox and not Sega to PlayStation. In some aspects, of course, not everyone. So,
what they could make?
What?
Fusion Frenzy.
I will jump through this mic and choke you if you bring up Fusion Frenzy in another podcast one more time. You and this Fusion Frenzy has got to stop. He's talking about Studio Gobos making a Fusion Frenzy.
Fusion Frenzy is coming, man. I'm telling you.
It can come, but it's not going to come from a new studio. No. It's going to come from some like little side project.
Now, what you're going to see, they're going to be too surprised when you're sitting there in the arena. Without me being there, there's going to be two big things. There's going to be one big thing when they come out there and they announce Fusion Frenzy. Here you go. Oh, my God.
Microsoft comes on stage with a new studio and Fusion Frenzy pop up. Xbox fans will lose their minds. They will lose their minds in disgust. Not because they're excited to play Fusion Frenzy. They'd be like, man, you've lost all these
then games. You're going to have at the end of the conference, you're going to be freaking out when they announce $399.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, listen. Sega has the potential to be a big publishing partner with Microsoft. And I'm excited about what they possibly could do.
A crazy taxi.
They could do something where like they have like a Sega collection, one of those type of things.
No. The No, those collections are junk. Get that garbage out of here. Stop with that. Sega tried that, and it was failures all around. No, absolutely not. No, I got all the Sonic games. No, no. Brand new Crazy Taxi. Give me some good next gen 4K HD taxis to smash into people right here, right now.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be dope if Microsoft and Sega worked together. And they did have something huge to show at E3. I wonder if that was a slip up. Like they want to boast about what they're doing right now, and that probably wasn't something that was supposed to come out in this presser to the media, but they wound up talking about it. And listen, we could be grasping at straws here. You know, it could just be a Halo Wars 2 thing. But I think the fact that you talk about huge partnerships, putting any words together, words are very powerful and impactful. So reading huge partnerships with Microsoft says a lot to me, and I'm really excited. I really hope that they show up at E3 with something huge from Sega. That would be great.
Notice something in particular. Now, around this time last year, we were getting leaks left and right. This is when Scorpio leaked.
Oh, yeah, we get no leaks now. Yep.
And notice, like, 2 days before E3 started, there was the whole leak about the Xbox One S and, like, the Dead Rising 4. And it was like, there were leaks. But Microsoft is jumping out in front of these things real quick and announcing this stuff beforehand. Like, okay, the Beam announcement today.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been an E3 thing. That could have been E3, but no, they did it today.
Well, I'm glad they did, because I would have been disappointed if they did it at E3. I really would have been.
Another example. Like these are games or these are announcements that could be good filler for E3, and they're not showing it at E3. They're getting out of the way now.
So you're trying to insinuate without saying it directly. They're trying to get the filler out of the way so we can have the big stuff at E3.
Oh, maybe, but I mean more like, okay, what is at this show? If they're willingly doing it, what is going to be at the show?
It's definitely interesting because I agree. Last year, you know how I felt about last year's show. I said if it wasn't for the announcement of Scorpio and the announcement of Xbox One S, I don't give a vote to Microsoft's conference. Everything leaked, and they showed a bunch of games we had already seen. I wasn't impressed with the conference whatsoever, other than the fact that Scorpio was on everyone's lips and the Xbox One S was on everyone's lips. And Sony's conference, I thought last year, presentation-wise, game-wise, was better. It just actually was. They just showed new games. Spider-Man, Days Gone, Persona, whatever else they were showing out there that they had. They just showed stuff that really piqued and caught my attention. So I thought that they had a better presser. But I wind up looking at the hardware aspect and saying the hardware aspect was very impactful to a lot of people, including the media. So Sega shows up at E3, Microsoft gets all the stuff out the way, and we don't know nothing about what they're doing. We don't hear anything. That's huge. That's huge. That's really big for them. And hopefully it's a true partnership and they really are working on some stuff, some content that's really going to really make people do a double take and look back in Microsoft's direction, because they really need that, honestly.
I would even say that, really. I mean, think about it. We're sitting here almost a year later, and people are still not done talking about Scorpio. We've talked. This is really kind of impressive. Microsoft has effectively kept the attention on Scorpio for almost a year. Like every single turn, even when Sony had the attention, it turned to Scorpio. Every news article, every little thing. That's impressive. And keep in mind, like when the Xbox games drought of 2017, which was earlier this year, they still had all the attention. Like there were more articles about Scorpio than Persona 5 and all the the other games.
You mean 2017? I can finally get to my back catalog. Yeah, not a drought, man. Trust me. Anybody who goes through every single one of their games and has nothing to do, either one, you poor, and I feel bad for you, son. Or two, you need to get the fuck outside. Because you can't be blowing through that many games, exclusive, non-exclusive, or I guess there should be an option 3. You're a really picky gamer and you don't only like a certain thing.
You're
But
allergic to
still,
games that are older than 6 months.
absolutely not.
It's definitely it's
Yeah.
definitely intriguing. I think a lot of fans have some things to be hyped about. Obviously, what they want to do on Sunday's event is show a lot of their games, go in depth with their games. They don't want to feel rushed. They don't want to feel like they have to do something that they don't want to do. I heard that it's still a 90-minute show, but if they run over, they don't have to worry about Sony following behind them or anything like that, or being rushed. And I think that was a good thing. They want to set E3 off, and they want to set it off with a bang. And I think that's what they have. I think Phil's really downplaying it so people are just sleep. Like Xbox fans and PlayStation fans are just sleep. And when they go to the conference, boom, everybody wakes up. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm excited about it, but I want to try to get through some more of these topics before we try to do a small Q&A and head out. So moving on from Sega, Xbox Game Pass came out. We're going to try to do a 2-for-1. Xbox Game Pass came out. And we had the preview. It was going to be $9.99. They gave us a few games here and there. Now they've released 112 games, mostly 360, some Xbox titles, but they did release Halo 5 on there, Sunset Overdrive, a lot of the big older titles from 2015 and below. And for $9.99 a month, this is a casual's dream. This is a parent's dream. And I'm telling you right now, if Microsoft markets this right, they could really, really generate some sales with their console. You go to any parent and you tell them right off the bat, listen, you can buy the Xbox One for $299, or you could buy this console for $299. But if you buy the Xbox One, instead of paying $60 for all these games, for $9.99, you can pay for $10, excuse me, for $10, you can get 112 games right out of the gate. Right out of the gate. And just download whatever you want.
On demand.
On demand, and it rotates out monthly. You'll get a new set or a new selection of titles the next month, and it's only $9.99. So after 6 months, instead of spending $60 on a brand new game, you've already played 600 games or less. So that's a crazy incentive. I mean, even as a parent myself, I'm saying to myself, I would get my son a Xbox because of they got Viva Pinata on there. All the rare games is on there. Banjo Kazooie is on there. And for $9.99, man, you can't really beat that. And what's cool about it, it has all of the gold features. So you can still share it with family. You can still everybody else can play. It's not just attached to your account. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's a really great deal.
Now, have they made any announcements towards what, like when they're doing the rotation? Because the way that I envision it, that would be a better thing than rotating out a bunch of games. Is a select title of games, stuff that's not popular. Take some of that out every 3 months. Give people time to go through them games.
We talked about this for a minute, and we tried to come up with some ideas for it. In my opinion, I think the best thing to do is, because Microsoft has such a great analytic team. 1,000 zombies were killed in 24 hours when we shot 50 billion bullets. I think that they would want to see what games are being played the most and what games are not being played at all. And those games that are in a very small bracket get rotated out, and you put in a new selection while keeping the higher play games until those higher play games start to drop in popularity, and you rotate those games out. But every month you have to do it. Every month you have to put in a new selection of games. Whether it's 15 games, 20 games out of the batch, you take 20 out, you put 20 in. And the popularity of the games either stays high or it stays low. And those low games that aren't being played, you rotate out. I think that's the only way you can do it without hurting a larger audience that may be playing a particular game. Like if Overwatch is to hit the Game Pass, I would buy it because I don't have Overwatch. But Overwatch is only for $10, and I can download it and play it. Like that's just crazy. In some instances, I wouldn't be surprised if some Xbox fans just bought 1 month. just to play a few select games they didn't play in their back catalog. Like it's
Right.
the appeal is so huge, and it's going to be such a safety net for all the experiments and all the games that Microsoft want to explore. And Phil Spencer don't have to worry about answering to the board when things don't go right with like a game like Quantum Break, or a game doesn't sell as massively as you would want it to, like a
While the Games Pass increases subscriptions.
got an increase in subscriptions, you have an increase in the sub from Game Pass, and now you have a safety net to fall back on because you're just generating money hand over fist from these people that are buying the Game Pass. It's a really great incentive, and very smart of them to do that.
Now, me and Anchorman were talking before we came on about Ubisoft adding particular games, is what the discussion was. I can see things like Far Cry. You know, games that come out, they have their big window and then they shrink. Right? That's an obvious fit for this kind of platform, where the publisher sees it's not selling really hot. You know, put it on the pass. We'll get a little bit more money that way. It's better than no money. But games like Siege, you're never going to see Siege. You're never going to probably see Overwatch, which is unfortunate, because they can make more money just selling a hard copy. What's their incentive to bring that to pass? And it's the same thing with, like, you know, most of those big online games.
Well, what you do is you get access to more microtransactions. You know, with the sub, even if you sell the game once for 60, think about it. If Overwatch drops in price over time, it's going to be $30. You might have somebody who buys it outright, but you can still make money with microtransactions, which is what a lot of these games are doing nowadays. So there's always incentive. I'm sure Microsoft has some sort of buffer where maybe they're working with a partner, maybe they're paying them, maybe they're not, maybe they're renting it for a certain amount of time, just like Netflix does. Maybe a game sits there for 3 months and then it comes off. We don't really know, but there's definitely always incentives because a larger audience just gives you more access to people playing that particular game.
Right.
You know, so it really just comes down to whether how Microsoft markets this thing, and whether or not they can appeal to the casual market and make sure that people understand what they're getting with it, and that the game selection stays fresh. I think that's really the biggest things that they have in their way as an obstacle more than anything. Jumping over to Beam. So Beam was announced today that they had to make a global change. They had did some work on Beam. Beam now allows multiple, I think it's like co-op screen sharing and multiplayer screen sharing. So you could be in a match playing with a friend or playing with a group, and you can have 3 or 4 screens all running on your channel at the same time. So everyone can watch your team play, or you can watch your opponent play, depending on whatever it is. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but now they've changed the name from Beam to Mixer. And the reason why they did that, I understand now, is because Beam was not something they could trademark globally. So they changed it to Mixer. And I guess it's because of the mixing of the screens and the people that you're playing with could be all streamed on one channel. And that's a really cool feature set. They also allow mobile streaming, so you can stream from mobile, which is just insane to me. Big step up for Microsoft and Beam, and trying to be competitive against Twitch, which just, it reminds me all over again of when I went to E3 2015 for the first time, and I ran into the guys who make what's those controllers?
Scuff.
Anchor.
Scruff?
Yes. And I ran into the Scuff guy, and I just had an interview with the dude who makes the Elite controller, and I asked him how he felt about the Elite controller after pumping out Scuff controllers for such a long time. And the face he gave me was like, F you, dude. F you. You know what I'm saying? Like one of those things. Because the Scuff was 200, the Elite was 150. Now you're sitting here with Twitch for a very long time and had integrated into your system, and out of the blue, you come out of here with Beam. It makes that a massive competition for them. Though it's still very small, the potential is there to become a massive competition for them. And Phil has already come out and said he would like to see this thing on PS4, which to me is, I have no words about that. But he would like to see this thing eventually go from Xbox and PC and PS4, and just grow this thing.
With a lot of Microsoft things.
It doesn't hurt
Like,
anybody.
It
Well, that's
doesn't. It doesn't. But as an Xbox guy, bro, it's like, I don't know, man. I don't want to talk about Phil right now. I need to do that on my old show. I can't do it on Super Pod Shots. I got some things to say, man, but it's nothing. It's nothing against Phil. It's just I've had some conversations with some people, and I've kind of come to an agreement on some things. It's like in some instances, Microsoft is showing a commitment to competition, but in some instances, you just feel like you want that fire. Like you want your team to be about your team sometimes. And sometimes you just don't get that. Like I love Phil to death. Phil is not about console war whatsoever, about any of that stuff like that. But even then, sometimes you just kind of want to feel like he's on your side and not for everybody, especially as the head of Xbox. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the things that kind of irritates me is when he's like, oh, well, you know, it doesn't matter if you got this multi-plat game on PlayStation. Just enjoy the game. No, it should matter. You should want that people buying it on Xbox. Like, I get it. Games are games. But at the same time, you're the head of Xbox, bro. Like, you should be pulling for the box, man. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I feel.
Phil is old school Microsoft.
I know.
Good, but good old school Microsoft, right? He was always a gamer at heart.
Mm.
But Microsoft, they're not about that hardware.
Mm.
They're about software.
Yeah, they're about
so
software.
Why
now.
would you not want every bit of software everywhere it can be? Microsoft's never been about it. I know,
understand
but
that.
Microsoft's never been huge with this stuff.
They need to jump.
They have their stuff as they can go. I mean, they've got all of their stuff on Google. They got all their stuff on Apple. They were one of the only companies to go, hey, we've got competing OSs, but would you like us to make word processing software for you?
Mm.
With Apple. Like most people would just turn their back and be like, nah, we got the superior version. You got to only get it on Windows. No. They coded for Apple to have Word and Excel. You know, that's not a big deal nowadays. But back then, that's huge, man. That was one of the main selling points of a PC back then. So you could have a good word processor.
I absolutely understand it.
You give them a taste of something good and say, wow, that really works. Like, wow, that's really cool. And say, maybe I should give it a shot.
Phil's a drug dealer. Anchor.
Give him a taste. Give him a taste of that bean magic.
Phil got that mixture.
But don't get me wrong, Microsoft's not foolish neither. They're always going to have the superior version on their platform. It might be good, it might be serviceable, you might enjoy it, but it's still going to be better over here. So you better come over here and get that better stuff.
By the way, I'm announcing now that Tickmas for this year will be broadcast live on Mixer. Tickmix.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Mixer looks interesting, though. I want to learn more about it. I'm definitely going to be streaming on it. We got Rhyme in early. I was trying to stream Rhyme tonight because I think it releases tomorrow, honestly, or something like that. We got a review. Yeah, now. I was streaming on Beam, but something came up. I wasn't able to do it. So, yeah, but I definitely want to explore more of Beam. I keep calling it Beam Mixer. And see that comes out. Yeah, no, it's just crazy. All right, so moving on from that, listen, we got to jump into this final topic. I'm probably missed some things, but we are running late at this point. Microsoft Global Publishing. Now, I read this thing a couple days ago. I read this thing a couple days ago, and somebody reported that Microsoft Studios were now Microsoft Studios Global Publishing. I was intrigued by it, but I didn't want to report it. I didn't want to report it because I didn't know enough about it. I wasn't finding the information I wanted to find. So I wind up hitting up Phil and Shannon Loftus, obviously two people who worked with Microsoft Studios for decades, and just kind of asking in a way like, hey, this new name is kind of interesting. Will we get more information at E3 or sooner? And this, one of the good guys who supports us chimed in and said he don't know what happened, what's out of the loop. But I'm like, Microsoft Studios have changed their name to Microsoft Studios Global Publishing, at least based on what I had recently read. In the end, Shannon Loftus came out. She clarified and said, no, sorry for the confusion. Global Publishing is a internal studio that shouldn't have been posted. They didn't mean to post that studio out. And that's where she works. So Global Publishing is, I don't know if it's new. I've never seen it before in any of their departments, but this seems like something where Microsoft is starting to separate Microsoft Studios from what they're doing with third-party projects. And I'm wondering if Microsoft is now working with a lot of external studios with global publishing for Xbox titles and keeping Microsoft Studios exactly where it needs to be, focused on first-party games. And that could mean a lot. That can mean two separate budgets for two different publishing studios. You will have global publishing, Microsoft, obviously, and then you would have Microsoft Studios, which mainly would be first party. But you're talking about working with Chinese developers like the Candle, what is it called? Candleman, the indie game that had came out. You have them possibly working with Japanese devs again, possibly working with devs in Poland, Europe, and global publishing being the division that publishes these games. Meanwhile, Microsoft Studios finally gets its act together and starts working on new IPs and new studios itself. And that's something that Phil talked about and brought up, obviously, during a Twitter conversation about what they're focused on and why they're not really concerned with Sony's third-party marketing deals, which I just thought was the smart thing to do. A lot of fans didn't like that. I kind of felt they shouldn't get upset at the third-party deals, but I wanted to try to give them some perspective. And that perspective was that Microsoft is in a space right now where they are in recovery mode. They got hit hard with the Scalebound news. You lost, you canceled Fable Legends. You closed down Lionhead. You shut down the not Let's Play. What's the name of the studio that makes Max Curse Brotherhood?
Press Start? No.
Press Play. You shut down Press Play. Right. You shut down Press Play, so you no longer have the Press Play team who made Max Curse Brotherhood and Kalimba. You didn't re-sign Twisted Pixel, who's left and gone on to be a third party. You no longer have Remedy as a second party dev, even though they're still a third party dev. You don't have them as second party making exclusive titles for you anymore. Obviously, Bungie has always been a contracted studio, and now you have 343. You're just in a space where a lot of people think you're hurt and you're in the corner. So it's really important that Microsoft don't just dump money anywhere. And people are like, well, Microsoft have money. It's Microsoft, but this isn't the same Microsoft. This is why I kept trying to explain before. This isn't your bomber metric Microsoft throw money at the wall until they eat paper. That's not what this is. This is different. This is a different approach. The marketing isn't as big as it used to be, like 360. The grandness of what they're spending their money on. 30 days for Call of Duty DLC. They spent $10 million on Grand Theft Auto 4, Ballad of Tony, and the other biker gang DLC. Think about that. $10 million on DLC, bro. That's the kind of things that they used to do. They don't do that anymore. And feels like he's not trying to do that anymore third-party wise. And I guarantee you it's because of that Tomb Raider deal. That Tomb Raider deal was a smack in the face. To this day, I still think it was a smack in the face to this day, with them coming out and saying how it was coming to Sony and the damn game didn't even release yet. It doesn't matter if it was a time deal. If you were trying to keep a hush, bro. That's what they were trying to do. And unfortunately, it backfired and it didn't work out. So I'm not really, I get the perception of market share for Sony and showing to the casuals all these games that come into PlayStation and stuff like that. But long term, Microsoft really don't have I think they don't have the budget or the funds to invest in third-party marketing deals at this point. They will have some. They will have some. You will have your FIFAs and your Maddens, and maybe they work with Project CD Red and do Cyberpunk 2077, and maybe they have a few other deals we don't know about, and they're being very hush hush about it. But they don't have any of the big major ones like Red Dead, Destiny, Star Wars, Battlefront 2, one of those type of things. So a lot of people are wary of it. But if Microsoft shows up at E3 with Sega, some new IPs, and a few third-party marketing deals and running those bad boys on Scorpio, people will forget this like they took a crap yesterday and flushed the toilet. You won't even remember it. So I just really think that everybody should just kind of, hold back a little bit, and let's see what Microsoft has up their sleeves at this E3. And hopefully global publishing is something that fans can get excited about.
Yeah, there's quite a few options for that. I mean, one of the things I think what they're going to do with the global publishing thing is I think what they're going to do is we're going to take this as an advantage for our second party, specifically the second party guys, and say, hey, you want to publish on this game? Or even if it's just a timed exclusive deal, like you may not put the Microsoft name on it, but you got something on it. Mm. Or like maybe even have it as an initiative for all these, I know you mentioned this earlier, initiative for games from other countries.
Right.
Games you don't see a lot of attention from.
Right.
And like it could be fun. It could be great. I kind of want to see what they're going to do with it. It'd be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think getting third party on board is definitely their main goal, and hopefully that's where they're aiming. This new, little production. If they didn't mean to come out with the information yet, it's very possible that they're still trying to figure out what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you don't start off a new job and then instantly know what you're doing. Like there's a learning process. Hey, what can we do to make this particular goal that we're trying to accomplish better? So that may be what they might still be trying to figure this out while we're sitting here discussing it, trying to figure out what they're trying to figure out. So, I mean, it might take a little time. We might not even hear about it at E3. They might be sitting around talking with publishers, other devs, people that, weren't really interested, maybe aren't even making games, about, how can we help you, help us help you? You know what I'm saying? So it'll definitely be a wait and see process, but we'll see if they can put something together that'll make us just a little bit happier, and we already are.
Well, I am definitely intrigued because Microsoft is going to be at E3 this year. They're going to be at Gamescom once again, and they're going to Tokyo Game Show. Now, I don't know why they would be going to Tokyo Game Show, but knowing that they're going to Tokyo Game Show has me even more intrigued. It actually makes me even more intrigued at the fact that Sega is a huge partner of Microsoft's at this point, and they're going to be at Tokyo Game Show. So listen, I don't want to jump to conclusions. I'm not saying any rumors. I'm not talking about any games. All I'm saying is Microsoft showing up at Tokyo Game Show more than likely with Scorpio, and maybe a new title, maybe something from a Japanese dev, says a lot, man. And it's a big year. I think a lot of people are just sleeping on Xbox. I've heard people say, well, if Microsoft don't show me these games at E3 2017, then I'm done. I'm not getting another X. What happened to the first 3 years? I never understand that. 2014, 2015, 2016, even 2013, did they not try to bring out some really good games? If they didn't appeal to you, I can understand that. If you feel like this show doesn't appeal to you, I can understand that. But don't sit here and tell me they didn't show you anything for the last 3 years. They just had a weak opening of 2017, and last year was pretty bad. I didn't like last year's show. But 2013, 14, and 15 was good. And don't get 2013 confused with the Xbox One reveal. That was a completely different show. They showed that reveal literally weeks before E3. E3 2013 was all games. The entire show was nothing but games. They showed nothing but games that whole show, including Rise Center Rome, which was amazing first seeing it on screen for the first time. Absolutely. So,
I still gotta go back and play that, man.
Yeah, no, it's a really good game. If you haven't got it on the Games with Gold, definitely pick it up.
Oh yeah.
So listen, man,
I
just exactly. I just think that Microsoft really, they definitely need to come big this year because a lot of people think they're weak and they're falling behind. So it's really important Microsoft show up, show some new content. They don't have to show holiday 2018, but spring 2018, holiday 2017 will go a long way in putting confidence back in the fans. You got Game Pass coming out. Games with Gold has been on a roll with these games they've been giving away. You got third party. If you're working with third parties, hopefully they can show something special. You got Scorpio coming out, and you're going to be having the best games. You got Mixer, 4K streaming is going to be on that thing, and then you have all of these new features that's embedded into it, and then of course you have the console itself with Arena. There's just a lot of things in the Xbox feature set wise. It's a really impressive operating system on a console. It really is. And if Scorpio can deliver everything what the OG Xbox wasn't, then I think they can really appeal to people, especially if the box looks good. I can't stress this enough. People laughed at me when I said this before. People think that, oh, it doesn't matter the size of the console, what the console looks like. I think it does to some people. Maybe not to us Americans, but definitely overseas.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like they harped so badly on the on the X1 and the OG Xbox too about how big it was, how it looked like an old school VCR, how it had a power brick. The power brick is the stupidest issue I've ever heard in my entire goddamn life. What, the thing behind my TV I never see?
I've never seen
the thing
exactly.
behind my 3-inch television? That's what you're whining about? The thing that hides on the floor for most people? Why?
Yeah.
Why? You want your console hotter? You want your fan to turn up like a PlayStation 4 jet engine? Okay, sure. Yeah, that's an issue. I get the console, but power brick, y'all need to just stop. And they harped on it so hard. So yeah, it matters to somebody.
Right. It definitely matters. So, that's what I'm saying, man. At least ergonomically, you make sure the console can stand up so that way it can fit in smaller spaces and that it doesn't look like a box or VCR. Hopefully it looks really cool. A lot of people want the Scorpio name to stay. It's not. It's going to be like Xbox something, Xbox One something, or Xbox something. I don't know what it's going to be. I hope it's cool.
I'm feeling Ultra right now. I feel like Xbox Ultra is a safe name. Ultra 4K.
It would be dope.
How do you twist that?
Sure.
Ultra is dope. I would love to hear the Killer Instinct announcer come on and be like, the Xbox Ultra would be epic.
Ultra.
That happened on stage. But listen, Microsoft is not good at picking names. They just made Beam Mixer. They're not. They made Natal Connect. Xbox One is Xbox One. Like, they're just not good at picking names. They suck at picking names. I said this earlier on Twitter. I'm like, they should have named Beam Cerberus. Like Cerberus is a 3-headed monster and you can have multiple screens on one thing. It would have been really cool to name it something cool like that.
Twitch already has that. So, I mean, it's not.
But
it could have been something that was appealing. I never used it on Twitch.
Well, here's something everybody has a poll. Hey, what do you want it named? Why don't you do an official Microsoft poll?
Yeah, Beam.
Now, don't get me wrong. Don't do it like some of the online polls. Put in your own name. That's how we got Bodie McBoatface. But put in a whole bunch of suggestions.
Right.
That the team came up with. Let us pick, man.
I'm not gonna lie. They should let the fans pick the console name. It could be Xbox One.
It's for the gamers, right? Well, let the gamers tell you what they want. Now, yeah, you've got to have a Microsoft account that's at least 3 months old. So
no, you can vote. You can have a spam account. Go ahead, but your gamer score weights your score.
Oh, I'm golden,
Mm.
baby. 160,000. Let's go.
Rand's gonna get a
I'm
million
golden.
votes.
That would be funny. That would definitely be funny. So listen, man, we're coming up on the end of our show. I want to thank everybody for stopping out, for the support. We had 59, 61 people watching. Very grateful on this late night, and appreciate the West Coast guys stepping in and obviously supporting us East Coast Central. You guys know who you are, and across around the world. As always, very grateful for the support. There's a lot happening with E3 coming up. Like I said, I got all types of things booked. We'll be doing a Aaron Greenberg interview on Wednesday, so that will be great to get a chance to talk to him and find out Microsoft's thinking. I'll definitely try to hook up with Phil at E3, get a chance to pick his brain a little bit. We'll be putting all types of news on ticgn.com. You'll have Lawbreaker news. Crytek has a new game coming out called Hunt, which from the description I heard is part Monster Hunter, like a knockoff of Monster Hunter or something like that. And we'll see what that pans out to be. Just all types of hardware. I even got invited to check out the Lucid Sound headset, which does not Dolby, that Dolby Atmos. Is going to be one of the few headsets that actually plays Dolby Atmos and is compatible with the Xbox Scorpio. And that's a big deal. So the team will be there checking that out, as well as some Nintendo stuff, PlayStation. We got a whole bunch of stuff covered. We're going to be at almost every press event. I'm still trying to get into Sony's, but Ubisoft, Bethesda, the PC, EA, Microsoft, we're in all those events. I'm going to try to periscope all of that on Twitter. If you guys are following on Twitter, make sure you follow TIC_podcast to get a look at what we are doing and who we're hanging out with at E3 and that E3 weekend. Is there anything you guys want to say before we head out of here?
No, I'm good.
Good. Everybody's good. All right. So listen, man, we'll be back. Yeah, absolutely, Em. I appreciate you stopping in. Listen, we'll be back next week with another episode of the Premiere Podcast for Xbox. On this channel, man, you're going to get a good mix of content. This is what Tick Network is all about, okay? You got the Xbox content, you got your PlayStation content, you got your debate shows, and you have your geek and the multiverse. Talk about comics, movies, TV, and games on that show as well. So listen, man, you come here, you're going to get a great mix of content. And again, you won't get any of the BS. We're not going to sit here and rip consoles, rip people, delve into the fanboy wars, talk about all that stuff. That's not what we do here. You know, we're going to talk gaming. We're going to try to pick your mind and try to give you great opinions. And that's what we do. And that's what we love doing, and try to get great interviews and just continue to bring you great content on a regular. So listen, man, it's really, really late, man. What do you guys think, man? How much time do you guys have? You guys got to head out of here?
We'll do a couple of questions. At least
All
3
right.
good questions. That'd be good.
All right. So let's again, in the show, I'm going to go ahead and end the show for the MP3 crowd out there. I do apologize to the MP3 crowd. Been so busy rebuilding TICGN.com because we had a terrible disaster that happened. But I will have that up. I will have the MP3s and all the backlogged MP3s for Tick Podcast up this weekend, so you won't miss anything from us. And I will have that in chronological order as well, and get you guys up to date for the MP3 crowd. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, damn near any podcast app, including the Xbox. If you go into the Xbox and download any podcast app and type in Tick Podcast, we will pop up and you can play us in the background while you're playing games. So make sure you support that way. So I'm your host, KLR the last on the planet Xbox with Anchorman V, and my good man MWJW, right? Did I get that right?
That's it.
Damn, that was perfect. I remember that just seeing it once. I felt like memorize that bad boy. And we are off this planet. See you guys next week. Thank you for stopping in. Peace. All right. So that's the end of the show, man. Listen, want to thank everybody for stopping out. Lord Cognito, man, thank you, man, for the support. Joe Sinister, Gunstar, Mocha, thank you, man. Appreciate it. You guys have any questions, go ahead and leave some. We will do our best to answer what we can. It's kind of late, so we're going to probably do maybe 10 minutes, maybe to what is it? It's 12:33 a.m. on the East Coast, maybe 12:45. So get your questions out, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Yes, Gwent is available for public beta. Yes,
Edge XL says, which one of you guys is the one with the sexy voice?
that'd be me.
Well, that's
All of
clearly
us.
Anchor. That's absolutely Anchor, man. It's definitely, it's not me. Absolutely not.
You know, that's what my mama said. Son, you have a face.
Leonardo S. Leonardo S. asks, given Sony's strong lineup, what title do you think would truly sell the Scorpio this holiday? Oh man. I don't think any individual title will sell Scorpio, because if it's going to sell, it's just going to sell Xbox, period. It's going to be on both consoles. I think Microsoft has a lot of potential with State of Decay. I know a lot of people sleeping on that game, but this is going to be a big title for them, and a lot of potential with Crackdown. I went on Gaming Addict show recently and kind of threw his show into an off-subject topic because he wanted to talk about Fable. I decided to talk about some other stuff, so I do apologize to Gaming about that. But Crackdown has the potential to be an amazing game if done right by the creator of Grand Theft Auto. I don't know a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people know that, So if they're able to capture the single player component anywhere like Grand Theft Auto, while also giving you the superhero component of Infamous in a way where you're able to build your character, whether he could jump high, run fast, be super strong, hop into a regular car that transforms into like a turbo twin jet vehicle, then you may be onto something. But you also got to have villains that are just as powerful, are able to compete without going the Crackdown 2 route with the monsters and the mutated characters and stuff like that, which kind of just ruined the game and it was super repetitive. On the multiplayer side, you can just if you can imagine what this game would look like, it would be insane. And I said this before. I said, I remember playing Battlefield for the first time and the building collapsing, the big tall building for the first time collapsing. And you shoot the glass or whatever, you jump through the glass as the building's falling and you're parachuting out. But in Crackdown, you don't have to do that if you're a superhero. What if you can just jump from one skyscraper to another? Like you just see people leaping from building to building in this big environment, chasing each other, shooting each other, blowing everything up. It would be mayhem. It would be insane if done correctly, and the whole city is destructible, which is just crazy to me. So if Microsoft is able to pull this off, it would just be mind-blowing. It would absolutely be mind-blowing to so many people, but the potential is there, but they have to deliver. They cannot deliver nothing half-ass.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like their first showing of that was definitely they're showing off tech. And they straight out told you, we're showing you tech. Don't take this as the final game. We're just showing you some fun that we've had playing around with the tech and the engine. And here's a building coming down and we're blowing the insides of it out. But
Right.
seeing that the potential for the amount of chaos / fun in terms of video games, it's the same thing. That could be a real seller. I would really enjoy that. I think a lot of other people would too.
I don't even think the big seller will be an exclusive this year. I
You don't think so?
really believe that if Bethesda's going to come out here with a big game and they got that marketing deal, that will sell it. Look at Microsoft's most successful year, 2015. What game helped sell the Xbox?
Fallout.
You can
I
see
agree.
the Halo, but that didn't pull through in the aftermath. It was that marketing
We will
deal
see.
with Fallout.
We will definitely see. Jose, hey, what up, Enrique? What's good, brother? He asks, when will you interview Shannon? Shannon Loftus. I've been in talks with her forever. When I get her on, I'm actually going to play some music just to commemorate having her on the show. Finally, I've been talking to her since like last October, and I was going to try to get her on after the Adam Boyes interview. but I just never reached out. I got really busy with the site, so we will try to get her on probably after E3 if possible. Hopefully I don't have to wait an entire year again to get her on, and maybe I can get her on immediately, or maybe do some interviews at the event and save them for over the next couple of weeks and then pump them out then. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's see here. D21 exclusive acts. Do you think an already announced exclusive will release next month like Cuphead? I would hope so. I doubt it at this point. If it didn't come out already, it's a possibility. They did say spring 2017 for Cuphead. So maybe they drop it at E3, which is still spring. No, when is spring? Summer's June 21st, right? That would be summer.
I didn't remember them saying spring, but I remember saying 2017
second quarter. No, they definitely said like second quarter or spring 2017. I remember seeing that because they was trying to say dropping it early and not waiting till the end of the year to drop it. They really need to drop this game. Honestly, it looks dope. It looks really good. Taking forever. That and Below. At this point I hate Cappy. I don't even want to talk about Below. I've been waiting for that game forever. The A-Bomb asks, who would be on your dream Xbox podcast? Oh man, my dream Xbox podcast. Man, that really is a tough one.
Are we talking about interview or just like a general podcast?
I think it's definitely
general.
Going to be no. It's definitely got to be interview. It's definitely. I don't think it's just a regular podcast like. You hit somebody up like, hey, you want to come on my show? And they're like, no, I don't want to come on your show. One of those type of things.
If you're going to have like a bunch of people.
No, if you're going to have like a dream podcast, bro.
Oh, yeah, your dream podcast, you're not going to have one person. Steve Ballmer.
Steve Ballmer would definitely be on my show. His enthusiasm alone would be lit. I would have Steve Ballmer on my show. Word. I would do that.
So you're telling me you won't have the father of Microsoft? That wouldn't be it? Really?
Bill Gates?
Yeah.
Bill Gates is, I don't know, he too boring, B. Steve Ballmer's where it's at, son.
Oh, man. I mean, I know Bill Gates, he's not going to be sitting there talking about Microsoft. He's a philanthropist. He's got worldly issues to deal with.
That's what I'm saying. We want to talk about Xbox, bro.
But you can sit there and talk with him about
money,
planning to it come out. What he originally wanted, what he felt like sitting there holding that big Chrome X. Thing was magical.
Wait, you know who you got to get though? No, if we're gonna do this on Phil Spencer, Steve Ballmer, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
The Rock? Where the hell did The Rock come from?
He revealed the original Xbox, right? Or was it 360? I keep reading this.
I would do Phil and Ballmer.
It's Scorpion King, man.
I would do Miyamoto. And I would probably I don't know, man. I would probably do maybe Casey Hudson, the writer of Knights of the Old Republic and Mass Effect, because those are like two of my favorite games. And just to pick Casey's brain as a writer, as someone who likes to create stories and write fiction, I would love to pick his brain and see how he comes up with these ideas and stuff like that. But definitely Miyamoto, because I'm a big Nintendo fan, and I grew up on Nintendo. I don't know about Reggie. Reggie's so cool. Reggie's
it's a dream Xbox podcast,
man.
It's just a dream podcast. Well, he did say dream Xbox podcast. Okay, so no Miyamoto. All right. Okay, I got you. So we do Ballmer. We'll do Ballmer, Spencer, Moore. We have to do Peter Moore.
Oh yeah, gotta have Peter.
You gotta have Peter.
Got to try to convince him to get another dad.
Bringing The Rock on the show, bro. We gonna talk about the nation.
You want to bring The Rock on the show?
I'm not bringing The Rock on the show. I can't think of another person off the top of my head. I don't know. I can't think of another person, but I would definitely do Ballmer, Spencer, Moore. That would be a
Snoop
great.
Dogg.
I just thought random names out. We got to move on from this subject. Oh
One more
man,
question. One more question.
I'm gonna skip so many. There's so many people asking questions right now.
Answer
Okay,
round. Let's do it.
let's see. Last question. Last question. Man, I don't know. I skipped a lot of people just now. This thing, they got to do better with this question stuff. All right. Gunstar Hero, since he highlighted the Inner Circle Network, he says, since Todd Howard was in the Scorpio reveal, what are your thoughts on what Bethesda has in store with Microsoft?
I like this man.
I knew you would.
No, God. Yeah, I saw that one coming.
Well, we know Fallout VR is going to be on
Yep.
Scorpio. That's
Yep.
one. Fallout
That's
Scorpio, that will definitely be on the HTC Vive, which you can play on. You can play on Scorpio. You can play the HTC Vive on Scorpio, and I'm sure that Bethesda may have something else up their sleeve for Xbox. Bethesda and Xbox have always had a great relationship from the Elder Scrolls days, so I wouldn't be surprised if Bethesda has something in store for Microsoft.
Yeah, clearly we know the VR. I can tell you right now, if you look at how the Xbox YouTube page is positioning themselves, there will be 4K versions of Prey and Fallout 4 for Scorpio. They will have those. They will make sure of it. That's a definite. What else is there? So basically, anything Scorpio related in terms of support, Bethesda's going to be right there, lockstep with them. What else is there? I think marketing deals are pretty much given. I can't. What was the last game that was a PlayStation marketing deal from Bethesda?
There wasn't one.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think they've ever had one with Sony.
Yeah, exactly. Ever.
And that's kind of what I'm getting
Sony
at.
showed up. Could you imagine if Sony showed up with a Bethesda marketing deal? Oh my God. Microsoft just slit their wrists, just call it a day. It'd be over.
You can definitely.
That's why I was saying earlier. It wasn't exaggerating when I said I think it's whatever game it is will be a Bethesda game that sells the Scorpio.
Yeah,
that is their third party support.
Yeah, definitely.
The one consistent publisher that has stuck with them and is selling games, and they do a damn good job of it.
Yeah, that would be definitely crazy. Before we finish up, I just want to answer this last one and just throw some shots out there. The A-Bomb asked GTA and Crackdown related how. All I was trying to explain was if you ever played Crackdown, Crackdown is like it's a mission-based game like Grand Theft Auto. You drive around through an open city, you do missions, there's points on the map that you get to and stuff like that. So you'll be able to kind of do things similar to GTA. The only difference is that GTA story is very in-depth in the mission parts of it. Crackdown needs to do the same thing. They need to have a story that you're following, and you're not just out there doing mission-based missions for the hell of it. If they're able to accomplish that with a story and give depth to it and then have an amazing multiplayer, they may have a bigger franchise on their hands than they thought they had in the first place.
It's just a child with a different mother.
Right.
I mean, it all came out of the same thing. Right.
And Philly Boy asks, I'm attending E3 for the first time. Can you hook me up getting into press conferences? I cannot. That's the only thing I can say. I can't, man. So, unfortunately for that. So listen, man, I want to thank everybody for stopping in tonight on the show, asking us questions and things like that. Very grateful for the support. Again, we will return next week with another episode of the Inner Circle Podcast. Thursdays at 11 p.m. Eastern. You can catch us. And of course, I will try to get a Super Pod shout out this weekend, something that I wound up missing yesterday because of YouTube issues. And I'll definitely try to get some footage from E3 2015 up. It'll just be something I just throw together for the fans out there who want to see what I went through and what I was doing at E3. Not 2015, 2016 for you guys out there. So again, thank you for the support. Thank you for stopping in for another night. I'm your host, KLR SKLL, the last on the planet Xbox with MWJW and my boy Anchorman V, and we are off this planet. You guys have a great night. Peace.
Peace.